This is the sixth video on the short course of effective data collection. My name is Douglas Amenya, a researcher at DataTrax Research Limited. In our previous video, we did look at choosing the right question types. In this video, we shall be looking at best practices around writing survey. Now, in the two previous classes, we talked about choosing the correct questions and also the question types for your survey. Here, we are going to have a few additional tips to help us so that we may frame our questions correctly. And these tips, they include use one question at a time. Also, beware of subjective questions, ask objective questions, avoid negative questions, be careful when asking sensitive questions, and also do not ask too much detail. We can begin with the first one, which is one question at a time. Now, keep the question simple, crisp, and to the point. Make sure you are not asking multiple questions in one question. It might make the answer complex and also confuse the respondents. For example, when you look at these two questions, which one is better? The first one is, do you love to study? Why? The second one is, do you love to study? The respondent gives a response which is either yes or no. And if he gives yes, then the next question is, if yes, why do you love to study? Then he can choose the choices which are given there, or even type the her or his own choice in the other options. So among these two questions, the second question is better. Now, the other thing we will look at is beware of subjective questions. Here we use text or subjective questions only when there is no other suitable type of question you can use. Most subjective questions can easily be written as multiple choice questions. The problem with subjective questions is that if you let people input answers, the same thing can be said in many different ways. So we have to take note of these. Another question is ask objective questions. Here we do not include the answer in your question, as it will introduce surveying bias. Example, do you think Kenya is on a downward trajectory? Instead, you should ask, what trajectory is Kenya on? And then the options which are given, it could be A, downward, B, upward, and C, other, whereby the other you will type in what you think. The other question is avoid negative questions. One of the best ways to be objective is by avoiding negative questions. Most positive questions are more direct than negative questions. For example, rather than asking, what are the reasons Kenya is not growing? Ask, what are the factors affecting Kenya's growth? This reduces bias and makes your questions more objective. And the fifth one, be careful when asking sensitive questions. Do not ask any critical or sensitive information directly. People are unwilling to share information to a third party. So for example, asking a question like, what is your income, as a numerical question might result in dishonest answers by survey respondents. Asking this question as a multiple choice question by bucketing responses into different income brackets might result in a more accurate response. For any sensitive questions, keep it undercover. For example, if you are to ask students whether they have cheated in an exam, it might be better to ask the question in a multiple choice question that does not focus on cheating. I have done the following with my school friends. Then the options which are there, it is played football after school, been punished for coming to class late because I was playing, shared answers in a test, had lunch from another student's lunchbox. So while asking sensitive questions, it also helps to use the right words. In the previous example, copying and cheating were not used because they will make the question negative. So we use more neutral words like sharing, makes people more likely to answer the question in a more honest way. And lastly, do not ask for too much detail. It is important to have the right amount of detail. Do not dig deeper than needed. And do take only superficial information. For example, if you want to know about the sources of energy at home, do not ask all the appliances used. Only ask whether specific energy sources, that is electricity, cow dung, gas, are being used or not. Make sure to cover all the major sources of energy. In our next video, we are going to look at the mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive questions. My name is Douglas Amenya. See you then.